Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. We got a report yesterday that made me giddy, and I don't know how plugged in this guy, but it comes from Mass Live. He was interviewing Adam Duvall, talking about the potential of the Red Sox selling, even though they are in the thick of the wild card race. I don't know. A lot is going to determine this, whether the Red Sox sell or not. This next week is going to really determine. If they go fall 3-4 games back out of the wild card, I think they sell. The one thing about the Red Sox, they have been very aware of where their organization is. And in anything that you read about them, they've always said they're open to selling. They're open to selling. They're not going to be big buyers. They know their team is overachieving. They just watched Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts walk out the door for nothing. They know they are, well, I guess they did trade Mookie Betts in the last year, but regardless, they know they didn't get rid of those guys to think, oh, yeah, we're going to win a World Series in 2023. Like, that's a pipe dream. Now, they're not going to crush the team's dreams. If they're one game out of the wild card going in the trade deadline, you can't expect them to sell. But a lot will depend on what happens this last week. So definitely something to monitor because they have some pieces. I've talked about Kenley Jansen. He's definitely a veteran, former Brave, that they could sell. We just talked about how much we want a high-powered reliever. Adding Jansen to this group, whoo, that would be nice if they do end up selling. But one that was actually linked, coming from masslive.com, Sean McAdam, I believe. Sorry if I got that incorrect. He said the Braves have shown interest in a reunion with Adam Duvall. And this is something that's happened so many times. Like, Adam Duvall leaves. All right, you're gone. All right, we'll get you back at the trade deadline for basically nothing. I mean, he's hit 194 in his last 31 games, but the Braves know what they're getting. He's coming off a wrist injury. He's always been a streaky hitter. At any moment, he could drop bombs on bombs on bombs. And like I said, this is more about a platoon thing and getting upgraded defensively. He fits that role perfectly. We know how he fits in the clubhouse. We know how he performs in big games. This is just another example. It's a match made in heaven. Like, if Adam Duvall is made available, I do not know how he goes to anyone but the Braves. Like, because it's not going to take a top prospect, but if they're like trying to like raise the bidder or something, and whether there is a bidder or not, give them whatever they want. Like, give them your 20th prospect. Give them whatever crappy person or like low level guy. It doesn't matter. He's under contract for $2.3 million for the rest of the season. It's going to cost next to nothing. Just get him in the clubhouse, see what he can do. You got another option. He's the perfect candidate for what we were talking about in the last segment.
Yeah, a couple of things. If you didn't catch the last segment, it's on the YouTube Sports Talk ATL. We write about this and more on the site sportstalkatl.com. And I've seen a few people that commented on the original article that the Braves had interest in trading for Adam Duvall. Why do the Braves keep doing this? The same song and dance where they acquired Adam Duvall at the trade deadline. Guys, I absolutely guarantee, I put my stamp of guarantee on it. The Braves sent out an offer to Adam Duvall this offseason. Adam Duvall didn't want a platoon. Adam Duvall went to Boston so that he could be an everyday starter. And at the start of the season, it looked like he made the right decision. The guy started out on fire. I think what you said in the article, he had like 4 home runs.
Five doubles and 4 homers in the first 9 games. He had already accrued 1 WAR, because he's playing good defense. Like, he'd already accrued 1 WAR. He's currently at 0.8 WAR. So that gives you an idea of how good he was for.
Yeah, so it wasn't like the Braves just didn't want him. I guarantee you they wanted him. And it's for the obvious. He's an upgrade, a dramatic upgrade defensively over Eddie Rosario, a former Gold Glove caliber defender. And he gives you a hell of a lot more offensively than Kevin Pillar. He's kind of the guy in the middle. And that's what you want as a platoon. He needs a righty. So it gives everything that you said. It gives Brian Snitker all the opportunities, all the choices in the world, all the flexibility when it comes down to October. Ride the hot hand, yada, yada, yada. With that being said, how often does it happen where the Braves are rumored to be interested in somebody outside of maybe, I don't know, Sean Murphy? That was definitely the Braves were interested in, and then they pulled off the trade. How often does it happen where the Braves are interested, reports surface, and then the trade comes to fruition?
I think it happens more than people realize. I just think I would just say most of the time there's nothing. But when they are rumored interest, there usually also is something. Like Marcell Ozuna, there was a ton of things. The Josh Donaldson, when that whole thing was going down, yes, he didn't go, but both sides recognized that there was a ton of interest. Like Sean Murphy, we saw, like they're like, it's not like there are always snakes in the grass. Like there is an occasional time where
I just think most acquisitions,
without a doubt, most. But I'm just saying, then you go back to the few that actually are released. There's always been something there as well. So yes, they might be the hardest organization to find information about, but that doesn't mean that nobody has ever found some information. And this guy obviously is plugged in more from the Red Sox side. So I'm sure he found something from the Red Sox rather than the Braves. Like he doesn't have some guy in the Braves organization feeding him organization. So he found it probably from the Red Sox. And listen, it may honestly just be, and like I almost don't want to say that because like it's, his credibility. I don't know anything about this guy. I assume he's credible and has a source. I mean, he's having an interview with Adam Duvall, so he has to have some sort of insight and some sort of plug into the organization. But there is like, it could just be more of a hunch rather than a actual legitimate report. Like, because it does make sense. Like a reunion with Adam Duvall, like you said, it all does make sense. But I trust this guy. I think there definitely is something there. I would be shocked if the Braves didn't check in because one, Alex Anthopoulos checks in on anyone. Two, what does Alex Anthopoulos value more than just about anything is clubhouse and those kind of guys. So if he's going to bring someone in, he'd much rather bring in a guy who he knows what he brings to the table, not just on the field, but off the field. And three, it just makes too much sense for what we just talked about in the last segment. He's everything. He's 10 times better defensively. He gives you platoon options. And you basically now have the same situation that you had in 2021 when you won the World Series with Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, and Eddie Rosario. And we saw how having all those guys was like, and just being able to mix and match them and stuff like that was such an advantage. Oh, now we also have Ronald Acuna and a much better version of Austin Riley and stuff like that. So I think, to me, if he gets traded, I'm going to be watching the Red Sox closely. Let's put it that way, because if he gets traded, this is money in the bank for me. I'm ready.
Yeah, he's a family guy. And this is just another aspect.
Blooper and Stone?
Well, I just wanted to bring let me bring another aspect that's kind of sad. I was mentioning, Pierce Johnson's got to be ecstatic to be traded from the Rockies to the Braves. And though Adam Duvall certainly wants to compete for a World Series, I'm not going to say he doesn't. He loves Atlanta. You got to feel for the guy. It's been the past 3 or 4 years where he's just signed a short-term deal, and then is traded, moving his family around. That's got to be brutal.
I have to cut you off because we got to get to the next segment. He also said in the article that he loves it in Boston, and so has Kenley Jansen. I think everyone loves Boston. Why wouldn't you? It's a fanatic fan base. You're competing with a team that's probably fun because they weren't expecting it. Coming up after the break, we got some rumors about Clint Capella. He is on the trade block. Will the Hawks move him?